Bum, bum. What's that? Oh, nice. Oh, beautiful. That's funny. They're going to be 5 minutes late, they say. So, ba, ba, ba. So as we wait for people to come on in, just share my screen for a half moment. And this is the Dream Alignment Manual. So there's 250 some pages that are what we use to muscle test through. And these are all the codes that we'll be using to clear the field and align and accelerate your best goals in this incarnation. And so it's quite fun, but as everybody shares, what we'll be doing is you'll be seeing me doing little doop, 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 doop in the background and testing and doing this and that and the other. And what I'm doing is I'm actually going through this and seeing which body needs which codes, which person is surrogating for the group. And any of these codes, if you don't want them, you don't have to worry about it. It'll just drop in front of your field and it won't hurt anything. If you do choose to accept the codes, then they'll just clear the inner child, they'll clear self-sabotage, they'll clear a variety of things. And this is the manual for the modality known as dream alignment. So it's just one of the things that comes along with this type of container and this comprehension in the mystery school is that the use of quantum morphic field codes is an option and is an activation that we actively utilize to align and accelerate, clear out ancestral garbage, clear out self-sabotage, things like this, so that we can be in the best attunement for ourselves and our goals and our needs in this incarnation. So Sharna Inyuan Liaud is one of the people that is also certified in dream alignment, and then Gabrielle Christiansen, who is my cousin, is the one who put the modality together and put the manual together. And she'll probably be joining in at different points, possibly this year or next year, as a guest expert on kinesthesiology and aspects of quantum codes and using muscle testing to be able to download information about what your body needs. And so super exciting. All right, we got Maggie, we got Giselle. Just waiting on a handful more people. Finn's going to be about 5 minutes. Brandon's not able to join us today, but we'll just invite his spirit and higher self into the field, into the group context for when he catches this recording. The other one that's not going to be available to join us today is Corinne. So also calling her energy in, her higher self to be here with us with the intention of this container when she's catching the recording, that she will integrate and have the best experience that both of them need to have with this recording. I will be trying to, I will live stream, I think, this to Facebook or to YouTube, but I will wait till we're doing our primary journey aspect, and then that will be shared with the group members and the people that are needing to catch the recording. Oh, both Maggie and Giselle probably have slight distractions happening for them, so I'm just going to check in on where if I heard anything from anyone else. Yuki Fox is feeling not her best at this time and is dealing with some health struggles, and so she's not going to be joining us at this time. And we should have Sharna joining us. And Jordan is supposed to be joining us, Jordy, but I don't know if she has realized. So because we've got a smaller group here today, what we're going to do today is that we'll do a general heart-clearing drum journey of some denomination, just to get used to the actual practice of the drum journey portion of this experience. And today we will not begin the journey of the bard, because today is a full moon as of tomorrow. So with that full moon energy, I always like to do more clearings, ancestral stuff, illumination tasks, rather than so much go into the perspective of the realms. And so when we meet in 2 weeks' time is when we'll actually head into the book and we'll begin to go through the actual journey of the bard, when hopefully we have everyone. So we also have a woman from Mexico, Grizel, that might also be joining us. The 3, possibly 4 people who can't make it tonight, I'm sure will appreciate being able to catch everyone on the same frequency as we actually dive into the realms. But here we are with Tashana coming in. So just we'll give a few moments for Rose, also known as Min, to join us. They said about 5 minutes or so, so we'll just give a couple minutes. Sharna is driving to an appointment and may have to tune in and out depending on circumstances on that side of the world. Good morning, Australia. So just a few minutes ago, I went to go quickly get a coffee. I had a beautiful art therapy session with Sharna, and that was really, really nice to just move some blockages out of my hip. I had a physical body pain in my hip after yoga this morning, as well as a lot of like ruminating just feels happening, like conflicting constructs that were coming about in my psyche. So it was really lovely to drop into just a 3-page process with Sharna and work through the different materials and the ways that like the hands move in bilateral art therapy process, and then have that attendance. So feeling really grounded and centered and kind of in this like in between etheric space from that. And I ran out of the house feeling like, okay, I'm going to ground, I'm going to go walk, I'm going to get myself a coffee. I'm just going to like, just center in the work that needs to be done and begin to get ready to like download what is the exact process for today. Where are we beginning? And I went in and my barista was so hot. She was so hot. It was ridiculous. She was so gorgeous. And I just like, oh my God, I hardly could speak. So I just read off the paper. I was like, yeah, even though that's not the type of latte I wanted, I couldn't think. So I had to just read the latte. And I was like, yeah, I'll get a salted caramel latte, please, oat milk latte. And then she's just like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, yeah. And then one of those things down there, I also got that, And then I went and sat down and was like being all cool, whatever. And then I went and got my coffee. And then she's like stunningly gorgeous. So I'm just like, don't even want to smile because I don't want to look like just crack and look like an idiot. So I just like thank her, take my latte, and then I leave and I take a sip and I realize I've got cow's milk. And I was like, oh darn, I don't need cow's milk. I don't usually have cow's milk. And then I like started going to the like corner. I'm like, why did I get cow's milk? Like, how did that happen? It's like, because you were distracted. Because you like literally couldn't think because she's too beautiful. And you just literally just ordered, like, didn't correct her when she said the order because you weren't even able to think. So then I was like, oh, I'll just go back and I'll let her know that I need like a different latte or check if like, is this cow's milk? I'm pretty sure it is. And then I went back in, and instead of asking for a different latte and like explaining that I was distracted and I ordered the wrong latte, and may I please have a correction for my tummy's sake, I just told her that she was really gorgeous and that she makes me really flustered and nervous. And then I left, and I was like walking out with my latte. It's still a fucking cow's milk latte. And I did like, I got to the corner and I take a sip and I was like, Naomi, you did not like fix your need. You just admitted that you're gorgeous. You make me nervous, and then just leave. No, but like I actually need a oat milk latte. It's just like, can I have a different latte, please? No, didn't even think about that. Nope, got there. Only thing we can think about is she's gorgeous. Tell her she's gorgeous now, and that she makes you nervous. And now you don't know what to say because you can feel yourself blushing, so you just quickly leave. And I was like, oh well, smart, smart. But we have a coffee. We have a tiny bit of a tummy ache, but it's not bad. And, and it's all good. But here we are, rounding around. We've got a full moon coming in tomorrow, and it's got us all full moons. The way that I was understand full moons and the way that I was taught about full moons is that first we have the new moon. And the new moon is like when you're like just freshly tilled the soil, it's got fertilizer in there, but not quite exactly what you need. And you're like folding in the different things that you need to support the seeds that you're putting in. So the first beginning of the moon cycle is that like, all right, we're building it up. And you literally see the moon beginning to expand as it fills up with this concept, with this process, with your seeds that you're planting. Then as those seeds grow and it comes into the full moon, I see it as a blossom. And this is the climactic moment. This is where you get a real good look into that heart, into that flower, and into the center of self and the blossom of what is the illumination and the like high point of the concept for this month. And so full moons I find are really good for cleansing ceremonies, for release ceremonies, for amplification of manifestation, charging and grounding your crystals, and charging up your crystals. And I find full moons are often breakthrough moments. And then after the full moon, it's almost like the petals begin to fall off and then the plant begins to seed. And as we start to get closer to the next new moon, which is our darkest night, we see the depreciation of that climax. And as it's walking out, it's considered the death dance. And so when you get to the 3 days before the new moon cycle, that's the death dance. And that's when we're dancing and we're composting and we're tossing over the soil and we're turning in and kicking over the plants that have now done. They're done for that month. So the cycle, the emotions, what you looked at, and what you planted is in the death dance. And so the 3 days before the new moon is when we're in this like process of the death dance and preparing the soil. So I really like the full moon. So we're landing right the 1 day before the full moon right now. We've got a whole bunch going on astrologically. So if anybody wants to speak to anything they've seen, read, heard about in the last couple days with Sagittarius in Venus and like all the Jupiter and and all the placements of the astrological breakthrough moment that's happening right now, please feel free to do that when it's your turn to share. And yeah, there's just a whole bunch of dynamics that are happening around the energies right now. So, but we're right before the full moon. So the landing with our first container being here right before the full moon, this is like the conclusion of what's been going on in the preparation from our Q&A and this preparation and initiation into this next level of who we are and what we're becoming. Then in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be a day or two before the new moon. We're going to be in the death dance. I quite like the death dance. It's an uncomfortable time of the month. It's often when we feel squidgy, crunchy, uncomfortable, lots of dynamics coming up around boundaries because it's a truth time. And we're paring down as we compost everything from the month to what it is that actually needs to stay so that we can like have the proper minerals for the next month's seeds and what actually needs to go completely and not come into this next month's cycle of consciousness and concepts that we're looking at as we are collecting in our womb and then shedding. So with the timing, the way that it is, I'm feeling like this container here will do a little toe dip in. So what we'll do is that we will explore a drum journey and we'll go into our heart. We'll talk about the different concepts of why we do certain things that we do, the amounts of beats and these points, and then we'll experience a drum journey. We'll go into our heart, we'll check out our personal tree, and we'll just do some basics of comprehension of the landscapes and the wording and the ways that we're going to navigate these realms throughout the year and a day. Then, because I love the death dance and I love landing on the new moon for our realms, and because we have so many people not available today, but I think astrologically we technically need to start today, um, then we'll drop into the realms in the last tail end of the death dance as we're releasing and shedding what no longer serve us, really defining what it is with our boundaries and what's coming forward with us in the next month, what we're giving gratitude and celebration of life, and what we're laying to rest. And then we'll shift into the journey of the bard and actually going into the realms and begin to read the book. So if you've already got your book, which I think everybody here has, Griselle will take a minute to get hers in Mexico, but she'll catch up when it's time. And so right now you are welcome to read the introduction, but do not read the first chapter yet, because we will do that in our next session. So do not, if you come to the garden, close the book. And we will have a little patience for that. And those that have already journeyed the tree, it's always really interesting to see what you remember and what you don't remember, and what stands out for you in different points. This tree process is, I personally like to do it repetitively, and I've done it for nine different cycles now, because there's 9 different options, 9 to 4 options for guides and gifts, tools that you can get for each realm. So with that awareness, I always seen it as this has many, many options, many, many paths, and why wouldn't I want to experience it many times and walk with Memoria, walk with Calipe, walk with Morgan Le Fay, walk with Hel, spelled Hel, and walk with these different deities, these different energies, and walk for a full month with their tools and really see then how that influences the paths and the ways that I comprehend what I'm cycling, instead of in a month, but over a year from my psychological process. So when looking at tarot, there's Rider-Waite, and then there's the Thoth decks, which are the primary examples we have right now of tarot, and it's kind of the expectation that they will always walk the way they do from zero to the world. But then we notice in certain decks that there's slight variance of like, when is the Empress, when is the Emperor, is it 3, is it 4? And they swap depending on the deck. There's also different placements of when is Justice and when is Strength. And then there's also further up something with Temperance and another card where they can swap placements. And it might be like, why is this? But it's different beliefs on the different timing, because it's different choices in the way that you move through a tree or a path working process. And our path working process is through the heart. Yay! All right, loves. So aside from Sharna is driving, so Sharna will be muted and unmuted depending on her availability for safety. But if everybody else could come on to the camera, we're now, this is going to be us for today, and we'll officially begin. So hello, Rose. Welcome. Hey, Maggie. Welcome.
Sorry for being so late. Thank you for the patience.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. We got a couple people that can't join us today, so we're gonna have just a lighter beginning, and we'll move officially into the realms next week or next session. So, I'm just gonna share a screen really quick here, folks. So, every single session will have dream alignment codes from this manual. You'll see me spinning numbers and flicking my fingers, and I'm muscle testing in here. So, dream alignment is this beautiful quantum morphic code process that is math magic that we put in through the morphic field, which is so we can sort of get through each other's bodies, we can sort of get through an object, we can do all these kind of things, and we just put the codes into the field to help clear and remove different things, disruptions, so that we can align and magnetize our beautiful life's incarnation on soul's purpose here and magnetize the perfect situations to us. So throughout every session, there will be a open sharing at the beginning. So if you know what's going on astrologically, chat it up. You got something crazy happening with your dreams, chat it up. You got something emotionally going on. It's been a rocking day in one way or the other. Share. And while you guys are sharing, you're going to see me mumbling away over here, just testing through this guy. And what I'll be doing is just doing different clearing codes, putting different things through the container in the group. Now, if you don't want the codes and you're like, don't worry about it. They'll sit outside your field and then they'll just drop and they'll just neutralize. So if you don't accept the codes, you don't have to accept the codes. It's not going to hurt nothing. If you accept the codes, it's just going to help clear out different issues, different things, and align and accelerate best goals. So every once in a blue moon, we'll do a full put you guys into hypnosis and go through the manual in the traditional sense of a dream alignment to align and accelerate your best goals. You can also do that one-on-one with me or with Sharna, is also a practitioner in dream alignment. So with the dream alignment codes, though, within the group structure, what we'll do is most time we will do a drum journey version of dream alignment. And so what we'll do is we'll go and we'll physically gather objects in a drum journey process that then represent these accelerators in this manual. And then we will use the drum journeys to then bring the accelerators to accelerate and align our best goals. That process was created by myself and my cousin Gabrielle, as well as with Sharna and another apprentice, Malachi, and then one more Aboriginal girl who apprenticed on and off for a minute, Tessa. And so then the development of doing all of this with the 256-page manual became a much simpler personal process of gathering physical objects from the ethers and then aligning and accelerating your best goals. So throughout the year and a day, we'll be clearing you and aligning and accelerating you to your best goals. And this is how we'll begin. So it takes about 20 minutes, sometimes a little longer, depending on what's going on in the field. You putting the codes through different people's bodies, different objects or different items to then align and accelerate for the whole group. Because once we come all together in a group, we become this like blobulous thing that we can put codes into, and then it accelerates and aligns the best goals also for the group and the dynamics within the group. And today we don't have Brandon, we don't have Corinne, we don't have Jordy, and we don't have Griselle. So these folks will join us hopefully next time. And whether we do a Monday or a Tuesday, we'll just feel into whatever feels right. Today is the day that Buddha lays in a laying posture as far as Mahayana Buddhism of Thailand. And today is transmuting suffering of food poisoning for all the people who cannot pay to keep their food or have to eat rotten food and have to and die every year from food poisoning. Because on Monday, Buddha was like, why doesn't anybody go over to that part of town and go get food? Because monks don't eat. They walk around at 5 a.m. with a bowl, and you come out of your house and you put food in their bowl, and that's what they eat for the day. And you put food in their bowl because you're asking them to pray for you. And then they go back and they hold postures each day of the week and they pray for you. And that's what they eat. So the one day Buddha, before he was Buddha, he was like, why don't they go over there? And they're like, dude, anybody who goes over there dies from food poisoning. Those people are so poor. They eat rotten pork all the time. They have food poisoning. They die. They die often. Monks just don't go over there because it's just. And then so he's looking and he's like, but isn't that where it's needed the most? Like if those people are in the lowest of the low and they're struggling that much and they're suffering at that level, isn't that where we're needed? Isn't that the whole purpose? So Tuesday morning he wanders over there. And Tuesday he's laying and everybody's like, oh, sleeping Buddha, oh, tired Buddha. And it's like, no, Buddha is dying from food poisoning on Tuesday. So this is where like Tuesday has an interesting energy that we'll often find Tuesdays to be kind of sluggish or maybe more of a deeper collective process where things kind of fire in a different way, where we process. And this day is the day that, over 10,000 monks in Thailand on Tuesdays are laying in this posture in the morning, transmuting communal suffering for the poor. So I find Tuesday an interesting one, as well as it's landing right before the full moon. We got the full moon tomorrow, and we've got the next time we meet will be the new moon. Will be the next day. So, just you all know who I am, but let's open up the floor, and I'll start moving into the codes. And whoever wants to kick us off with just a hello, how's it going? How's your day been? Anything cool astrologically? And how are you feeling about embarking into Ootheca Eluxorama and a year and a day of learning how to go to the psychic gym? And
I'll
I
start.
guess. Oh, go ahead. I'll
Okay.
go next.
Okay. Uh, Hello, Rose. She, her. Um, what am I? Uh, what do I say? I forgot. It all left my head.
yeah. So, how's your week been? How are you feeling? Is there any cool synchronicities or anything beautiful that's coming up for you? Any nerves? Anything that's coming up for you for thinking about embarking on a
This
year
week
here?
in particular.
Yeah, and like wherever, however, what's been coming up for you?
Um, okay. Well, I don't know if there's synchronicities like astrologically this week because I don't know the significances happening this week. But when I was like, guys, blah, I want to do a prayer, blah, and I talked to you, that was everything you told me about like everything with the snake and like the horse was just felt like so exactly everything that was going on for me. And then when you piped up again a little later talking about the horse, this like feeling of like going into the graveyard and like having all these fears that you imagine that are kind of like stopping you, that was also that's just a feeling I've had a lot through my life, but I was also feeling that very strongly at that time, of a week ago. Um, this week, I've just been kind of really like setting some new habits in a way that feels like, oh, this feels right. This feels good. And like old and familiar kind of like dysregulation is still like coming up, but it's feeling a lot easier this time around to kind of like be like kind of like a little out of it and just being like, oh, I see what's going on, and allowing myself to observe the thing rather than just like be stuck in the thing. And it's making it easier for me to then go like, okay, I'm just gonna go easy on myself right now because I'm really this is just a kind of sickness, or be like, okay, I'm just gonna push through in this way. I'm just gonna like really push through and just get up and grab something to eat or something.
Mhm.
I've been feeling held almost. Um,
Beautiful.
and what's been really nice is I've been receiving some really incredible support from like friends and community. I struggle really deeply with like food and like feeding myself. And then a new friend of mine, she's a chef, and she just like offered like, hey, what if I come over and I just meal prep a bunch of food for you? And I was like, oh yeah, that'd be awesome. And then they brought their girlfriend, and I invited another friend who I thought I knew would get along, and they kind of met before. And then it just ended up being a really lovely like night for everyone for different reasons, for each of their own individual reasons. Like it was just the perfect little thing. Um, and um, and having that has like really changed things. Like just having that food be there, like and it's just something I couldn't have done on my own.
Hmm.
And then I've applied for disability, and then like I just right around that time I got the call back from the Disability Resource Center, and I just had the meeting today, and they're like helping me walk me through the process. And so it's
Oh.
like I'm in a time where I realize I just need certain kinds of support. There's like barriers that I can't get through like on my own, and now the support is just like showing up, um,
Mhm.
and it's really really huge. Um, and I'm finding myself able to now let go of these like a little more of these long held like stresses and anxieties and things. Um, Still there, but again, it's that feeling of like I'm able to observe it a little more and not get so trapped in it. And so that's what's going on for me. And that's what I've been like very intentionally kind of like putting my energy towards. Oh, yeah, the last thing is I went and for me and my partner's 8-year anniversary, went and visited my family. And in the the Asian general store, Man Lee's, they have some statues. This is in Nanaimo. And one of them is of these like two fish, like kind of like almost kissing in the shape of like an infinity sign. And like the first time I saw it, I thought it was really beautiful. I was like, oh my God, I want that. But it was like, now's not the time. This time I came in, it felt like it was like, oh my God, I need to get it because what I'm really needing is like abundance. And that's like a total perfect symbol. And every time I look at it, I just feel like this like a good shiver feeling of like, oh, and I've just been like, yeah, it feels like the reason I brought it in, and it was a new moon. So it's like new beginnings. Like it's been doing exactly what I asked of it. And yeah, things are just I'm feeling very supported in a way that I really need. And it's like I'm asking for help and then receiving the help, and it's very nice. And then showing thankfulness where I can. That's where I'm at. That's me. Hello,
Beautiful.
I'm Rose.
Well, thank you for sharing, Rose. That sounds like all beautiful, beautiful things coming together in perfect timing to support
Yeah,
you in these next steps. So, yeah, really blessings to community and all the ancestors that have brought everything here together. And as we begin to embark onto this, yeah, next chapter of what is receptivity, what is softening. So I'm just going to take note of that. We have Rose shifting into flow
yeah,
of support. Yeah, into the like what is to actually receive when we
yeah,
vocalize. And like
yeah,
it's no longer difficult. It's actually easy.
yeah,
And having community that is actually fine with this layering of support so that it's not overwhelmed for anyone. So
yeah.
that's
And it's like
beautiful.
I don't need to be scared to just say, I'm struggling. Can anyone help? Is that possible?
Yeah, and know that people respond, that you've
Yeah,
attended enough to your community in those ways and the world that's how you are with the world, so the world is now giving you back what you serve it, right? And that softness is arriving. So thank you for being here. Welcome, welcome, and we'll hand it over to Mega.
cool.
Mega.
Hi. um, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of, I guess what's coming to me is that I decided that when I was going to start this process, that I would try to surrender control because I'm definitely a control freak. I always try to control everything, and nothing is controllable. I'm realizing, and I think I create a lot of problems because I'm just like, no, this is the way it should work, but it doesn't work like that. Oh shit. So I guess a lot of the things that I've been thinking about is like, I my brain is very analytical, but like sometimes I have to like turn that off and just like accept it. Like you were talking about flow, and it feels like I don't get into that because I literally won't let myself because I'm too busy like dissecting and analyzing everything. So it's like, you're dissecting and analyzing and then you don't go anywhere or do anything. So that's kind of something that I'm processing right now and attempting to be better about and just seeing where it takes me.
And how has your last week been in preparation to this? Has there been anything that stood out to you as far as teachings or awarenesses or self reflections? Is there any hesitations? Is there anything coming up for you as you prepare to say, I'm in?
I think I'm a naturally hesitant person, so I think they always sort of is like swimming around in my mind. But yeah, it's just nice to have a group to have a process like this. My last one didn't go so well, so I'm allowing myself to have hope, and I'm gonna throw myself into it because the last time I feel like like there were other issues, but I also feel like there was like a little bit of me that was like resistant to what was being taught. And so that was turning into like not quite amalgamating it, the information and taking it in and processing it for what it deserved
Mm.
necessarily. So
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah, that's definitely something that I struggle with. I want to do all the things, but then I also want to do all the things perfectly.
Mm.
You can't do that. So yeah.
It takes a lot of time. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And just a little background for Maggie there. Maggie was in a container called Blackberry Witches, which is more of a Welsh lineage craft practice. And so there was a lot of like physical meetups. There was a lot of very strict regulations, though, and
Mm.
very lineage focus with a desire of the way of doing things, with kind of a hampering of any
Yeah.
curiosity outside of the lineage's practices, which then Maggie found herself just feeling hampered. So what you when you're speaking, Maggie, it reminds me of what came up today for me was just like trying to find these fine lines between discernment of like what is a blockage that I need to breathe through and continue with the discipline or continue with the thing, or is this actually a discomfort that's telling me that I need to remove myself? And so it's harder when we can't quite put our finger on it. But when in communication with Maggie, we kind of unpacked that it was more of a process because it was too narrow minded. You know, it was like this is the way, and that's
Yeah.
it. And then anything else was evil, scary. So anytime this is a big differentiation between this schooling and other lineage based schoolings or based in lineage schooling, is that there's a very open mindedness, and this school is all about or. It's not or, it's and. So we're not a this or this, we're a and, and there's an encouragement for you to explore different modalities, different mentors, different teachers, different practices, different processes. Because anytime a mentor tells you that they have the only way for you to be well and you need them and what they have and they make you scared, that is a sign of a bad magician. That person is a black magician. If they make you fearful, it is not good juju. This is a practice and a process in energetic spirituality that if you can get people to be afraid, it breaks their auric field and gives out these nice little tendrils. And then you eat your fingers in them and you just go like this and you wind them up and you collect and harvest people's central nervous system energy. And then you can utilize it for your own mana uses. It creates zombies. This is where you get your people that are totally zombified following the cult leader. This is because they have fully been indoctrinated into a fear funnel, and then they just weave their mana around the funnel that the guru is focusing their point on. So yeah, and it's just I consider it rude practice and process. So just as you're exploring things like this, in this schooling, we try to keep as curious and respectful, open mind as we can, and it's encouraged for you to explore your truth of any of the practices and processes. You know, I have my way, but the way that you will do your way, if you go through all the tiers and you decide to be an initiator, then that will be your particular way. It'll have to need a clearing, it will need a grounding process, it will need a drum journey process or some initiatory process. Um, but those will become developed in this process that is uniquely yours. What is your color of your fire? What are your tools? How do you work? Will then be established. Because other schools can be very narrow minded and then they operate with kind of this fear based notioning that this is the way you need me. You need this healer. You need this way. Everything else is scary. It's dangerous. That is a big red flag. As soon as you come across a modality where they're like, everything else is evil, still might be something there for you to learn. There might be lots for you there to learn, actually. So always trust, follow your nose, go to where you're led to, But if you're finding, like Maggie discovered, where something in you is just irked and doesn't quite feel right, sometimes that's just because there's a narrow minded lineage focus point of view going on. And then that's it. Like, this is the only way, and anything else is scary. And it's that kind of fear factor that can be really off-putting, because what's going on though is that it is a subconscious technique to get your energy field and into their lane. So it's an uncomfortable thing that can happen at times with certain people. But Maggie, how do you feel? So you're putting that behind you, though. You're going to trust. You're going to try. We're going to see what's over here. And are you ready to fly? You ever done a drum journey before?
I've done a couple. Um, I find them actually really interesting just because they do tend to like it. It's not really something that you can actively control, or even like I wouldn't even know where to begin, even to try. So like I just kind of like drift in, and yeah, I find that sometimes I get really easily swept away with like the imagery and stuff like that. Like I have a very sort of fertile imagination, so I think it just like I see a lot of symbols, and so that's very interesting to me, especially as an aforementioned, like person with control issues,
Cool. Exciting. Thank you for being here, Maggie.
Thank
All
you.
right, Giselle or Sharna, wanna give us a little skinny on what's happening in the life right now?
Sure, I can do a once over of my world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when we stopped our last group, as soon as I left it, I got a barred barn owl spirit guide that came to me. But they came to me years ago and it freaked me out. And I was like, no, 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 no. I don't know. I don't like this. I don't like this whole side of things. It triggered my fear of like spiritual psychosis. And I was like,
Mm.
no, I don't like this. And so they went away. And so as soon as I did the class, they were like, oh, so you're into spirituality again, I see. Well, I'm right here. And ever since then, they've just been kind of like here.
Mm.
And they're usually somewhere on this shoulder behind me. And then since then, I've had a dragon come into my reality as well. And
Mhm.
then there's also a cloud of bats that take on like when I have negative energy sent towards me, they're like the harbingers. They like eat all the little flies in the air sent from the negative energy. And and then there's also a wolf that I haven't really gotten to know yet. That's just kind of off in the background. That's kind of I have to dive deeper into that. And my cats I have two cats, and they're also in that realm with these guys. So that's just been my like I went from being like, I don't, spirit animal thing freaks me out and kind of weirds me out to now I have like a bunch of them. And they're just, yeah, it feels slightly overwhelming to kind of just be like, okay, let's do this. And the universe is like, okay, it's on, like it's happening. And yeah, I feel like lots of things have been really synchronistic lately.
Mm.
And last weekend, I started a job at a local cafe doing serving, and I've started doing glamour magic as well. And if you bring glamour magic into a serving environment, the tips
Mm.
are really good.
Oh, oh,
So
yeah.
it's uh
I
it's been
usually
really
just use
funny.
aphrodisiac oils, and then the tips are good, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I was gonna start
It's
right.
fine.
I was gonna start eating drinking lots of fennel tea too, because it makes your pheromones smell really nice. Yeah, just use it kind of like a
Pheromones
strip
for
club, you know?
better, for better tips.
And so that's how I'm going to pay for school this year.
Amazing, amazing,
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah. And like I've just never really been able to have a job, honestly. Most of my life, it's really caused me to like dysregulate a lot because holding down a steady job has always caused me to like
Mhm.
just kind of dysregulate after a certain point. And over the last year, I feel like I've gotten enough of my bases covered. Like my root chakra is actually like fully like I have housing, there's food, like I've I've been slowly putting in the coins. Yeah, food. um, yeah, I've been slowly putting in the coins, and like slowly things are just like finally kind of solidified enough that I can do this. And like the people who I work with are all very neurodivergent, funny people. The lady who trains me, she is like a pet psychic. So like it's really nice to be able to like have people
Still have
around
that
that get it.
in your like yeah, your what would be considered like a muggle reality moment, and instead it's like, oh well, I'll practice my fox medicine for invisibility and my glamour magic and like see if I can like make myself
Totally.
look like a gorgeous movie like character, and bam, and then yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, it's been
they did
really
say like, oh,
cool.
let's talk about pet psychic healing, while we do the dishes, like, of course.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really nice to be able to like honor the fact that like I don't know. I was talking about the other day I had like some collagen from beef broth and I don't really eat meat. And I like as soon as I took a sip, I could like hear cows moving around me. There's just so many cows in my psyche. And I was like, this is a little intense for me. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's just really nice to be able to talk about that to my coworkers and have them be like, oh, that is crazy, without them being like, what is with this one? Oh my God, I think maybe we need to get a new person. Yeah. So I feel like this is only a temporary job until we move back to the coast, but it's really nice to have this time and to
Mhm.
be able to like feel like we're gonna have like a really nice nest egg. I'm gonna be able to get dental done and like that's I feel like having constant like bodily pain and certain things really takes you out of that like higher realm of like trying to connect. And
Mhm.
I feel like maybe one of the ways that I've kind of kept myself from being the magical self, like self-sabotage, is by keeping myself like sick and keeping myself from like actively doing the things that like I know if I just did them I would be ahead. And so slowly I've been like trying to just like actively just like do one of those little things, just like a little grain of sand. Like we don't have to take on the whole world today.
Yep.
Every day is not a take on everything day. But if we can like put a little something towards tomorrow and a little bit more something, I find that like the momentum that I'm starting to really get in life has been really crazy. And then having this group come up into it on top of it, ever since that's happened, is just like the momentum's gotten more. And then I've gotten more downloads and I've gotten more downloads. And like the other day, Sharna, you said I was a um, alchemaic. Oh, I forget exactly the term you used, but it was
In
something
here somewhere.
quantum,
Alchemist,
quantum alchemist, quantum alchemist,
an
and
engineer
that
of some type.
has, huh?
It was an engineer of some type. Quantum engineer?
No, it was a quantum alchemist.
Mm.
Quantum alchemist. And I
Architect.
remember those architect. Oh, that was a quantum
That's an
architect. That's it.
architect. Yeah, I was like,
He's
Architect.
more of
Okay.
an
the building.
alchemist.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Architect. Because that made me like really think about how much like specifically I keep going back to alchemy. That's why my brain's stuck on that. But like throughout my life, I feel like I've been given a lot of tower moments. Like my whole life has just been like basically back to back tower moments, it feels like. And a lot of people seem to look at it and be like, wow, you really do have a lot of those. And I'm like, it's not just me, it is genuinely occurring, right?
Mm.
Um, but I think that, like, I don't know if you guys have watched the Lego movie,
Mhm.
um, fun reference, but they're talking about master builders.
Hmm.
And you have to take things apart and everything has to be in pieces to become a master builder. And so maybe what I've come to terms with is that I have been gifted all of these rubble moments
Uh-huh.
to create and build some really cool things. And now
Mm-hmm.
I have a really cool, weird thing that's really weird and amazing built from all these weird pieces of my life. And I'm really proud of it. And for a long time, I kept being like, what the fuck is with these, pardon my language, what is with these tower moments constantly just coming out of nowhere? And I just felt like a victim for a long time, you know? And it was like being caught in the ocean. You know, have you ever seen someone who's like, oh, I'm in the waves? And they're like, oh no, I'm in the waves. And they're like, oh no, I'm in the waves. Like that look on their face. Like I remember that moment in life. And now I'm standing on the beach again and I'm like, I made it out of the waves.
Yeah.
And I'm really impressed to see just like what the next year is going to alchemize, and like what the crushing and the change of this next like move out of the valley towards the coast, and like this class, and just there's just so much happening.
Yeah,
It's
that's
exciting.
the flow. All right, well, there's a couple things that popped up there for me to share with you guys. One, your mosaic Dr. Frankenstein. So like, you're like, what am I? What are these weird things? Like, Doctor, it is alive. You know, like, but be careful, the village folks might kill it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But you
feel that.
found the village folks. You found where the acceptance of the creation is, you know, and instead of being called a monster, it's what the blessing that Frankenstein was trying to do of the amalgamation of the dead parts. Um,
Totally.
that's really beautiful. So yeah, it was so funny. It was like, "Welcome, Doctor Frankenstein." Like, hello.
Totally. I love all the death references, honestly. I feel like the underworld has always been very deep within my bones.
Yeah. So in this process, the underworld is the earthly realm, but both the underworld and upper world will have no violence. So the underworld is a little bit crunchy for us emotionally when we go through it, but when we journey, if there's violence, we're in the middle world. The only place
Mm.
violence exists in the other worlds is in the middle world. And the middle world is ginormous. The middle world, you can go all day long mucking around, doing all sorts of interesting things, earning some really interesting tools. But you can also get yourself some interesting contracts playing around in the middle world. So we're going to learn about the different realms heading into this, that, and the other. But when you come under the mentorship of someone, they do this process where they are like a bird and they put their like wings around you and you become like a little head and you kind of get nookied underneath. And then there's things like pillars of support, my Poe, that will then start to show up in your field. And Charna experienced with me at the very beginning of meeting me that we did a kinning process where we could exchange medicines through a geotran process. And so Charna got to experience what that was like. But in a less direct way, as soon as you sign in to initiate under me, then there is this umbrellaing of my pillars of support, my prayers, my fires, which, as Maggie's experience living here, is constant. I'm in constant attendance to altars, I'm in constant attendance to spirit. And you pretty much named off like like a whole bunch of the Poe, especially the ones that Sharna and I cleaned at one point. We had a whoops where we listened to something we shouldn't have listened to, and we ended up clearing like infinity amount of bats. And then we realized we had to like close that, and like it actually had to be a specific amount of bats. But it wasn't before we like filled our whole world with a whole bunch of vampire bats for a few minutes. And we had a couple of days of like dealing with a large quantity of vampiric bats, and then eventually cleaned them all. And it was all good and it was all okay. And we learned don't ever listen to them. And if they suggest something while they're on the table, it's probably not the right thing. So don't listen to the suggestions from the table. But in the outcome of that, we were working with Saint Germain and the Purple Flame, and there was a presence invocation that came into our field at that time that went, I am present, I am presence, I invoke the Purple Flame, I invoke Saint Germain, I invoke the silver and gold dragon. And so as you see that, as you bringing that presence into your body, into the moment, and then you just imagine yourself filling with a silver and gold dragon. And it expands out your arms, and your arms become wings, and your body, your structure becomes that of the dragon. And as you inhale, your arms are at their full expansion. As you exhale purple fire. You bring the arms in front of you. Then you inhale, reaching up, feeling that beautiful silver and gold dragon embodying from your womb space up. Exhaling out the purple purification flame. The wings come into the front of the body. Inhale, opening. And exhale, purple flame. So taking note of that for yourself, if that at all resonates. The invocation goes, I am present. I am presence. I invoke the purple flame. Then you can choose to invoke Saint Germain, or you can choose to solely invoke the silver and gold dragon. And you can use that for clearing land spaces, landscapes, things like that. And in that is where the bats were found. Saint Germain, for some reason, was white bat amongst all the bats. And the purple flame came through to help purify a number of things. And then about a month later or so, I had Jessica North, who's one of 13th House's founders, do a scan of me. And she was like, I don't know what you did recently, but you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of really happy bats. And there's a big white owl, and then there's one white bat. She's like, I don't know. So that was really affirming for Sharna and I's early works and expressions. So it's neat to see the different aspects of already like the activation, because I come with an army of animals and I come with an army of supernaturals. And then whoever, whatever, when you come into being kinned under someone, is that you might experience, well, you start to experience the different medicines that are natural to you. So maybe for you, it was like this one was a little bit there and then this one was there. But in my field, these are all like this. So anywhere that you have any of these, all of a sudden they'll pop and they'll go off. And then you'll get this strong stream of what your connection is through that. But each of you will have different ones that naturally strengthen by like our rivers coming together and this mana moving. So it'll naturally activate different aspects. And so that's really beautiful to know that you're tuning into the Poe, but in this particularly like the zoology realm of the Poe that hang around, you know? And
Yeah.
beautiful. So really great, super exciting. And we'll swap over to Sharna.
Hi.
Uh,
I was really overwhelmed before that clearing.
oh,
And it's funny. So I don't watch television, but I started watching this, I can't think of what it's called, but it's a spin-off from the Game of Thrones. I haven't watched that, but it's to do with the dragon chick. I don't know if anyone's watched it, but it's like this whole dragon story. And I cried this morning because there was a silver dragon. And I'm like feeling all those emotions of everything you guys have said. So after I speak of what happened after our session, I went to get my coffee. And I went into kombucha because I got a home that I move into in a few days. So there's like this community give it program because I don't have a fridge or any furniture. I'm starting with nothing. So the lady's like, can I ask you some questions? I'm like, yeah, whatever, data's free. Like, don't worry about consent, just whatever. And we're going through it, and there's this beautiful woman in the corner who listened to everything, who sits, it's like, she's like the community Centrelink. So she's sitting there, already done everything I need on the program, and just put the paper on the table and said, you got 6 weeks off needing to look for work. This has been removed. Here's your bond. Just, and I cried. And she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, kindness is my trigger. Because that middle world, oh my God, I've been rolling in it since our session, and it's so middle world. And it's so physical. And yeah, you just reminded me, even with our session this morning, Gnomes, with that softness and hardness and that space in between where they learn to communicate, that's a whole messy place. It's not easy to find the pieces. I feel like when you were talking about those tower moments, I'm like, yeah, right. I can see it from underneath, on top, and what it feels like to be in the middle, and I'm not comfortable with any of them right now. I'm struggling to exist, if I'm to be completely honest. But I'm also really excited because I know since writing this ebook, again, since our session, and leaving that other container I was in, and starting to discern my worth and where I put my energy, and yeah, it's been crazy. Everything's really loud right now, but I'm not feeling animal. So I dreamt last night that I was making bricks, but I had to extend the brick with this whole other element of cement or something to thicken the bricks. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't know what's building on me in this space. I am so irritated, and I'm just suppressing it because I don't, yeah, it's interesting. But you said something astrologically that made sense too. So I'm being gentle, and I'm so glad for this container. I'm so glad it can get activated and move out because it's so unknown. These things always are until we go in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So today's the first day I've been like, we're going in the tree again. It's just been exciting. And today is like, okay, whew, here's the work. It's all bubbled up. So thank you all for your words and being here. So I'll leave that there.
Yeah, it's super beautiful. Okay, well, so we're just at our 1 hour mark, so we'll take a little break and a half second here, use the washroom, and set up and establish ourselves to prepare to journey. So today we've got a few needs going on. So we're going to treat this like a full moon, and we're going to treat this like a clearing. So we're definitely going to go into our heart, and the basics, let's go through the basics of drum journey before we have a breather and then actually get into it. So the drums that I journey with at this stage are kangaroo hide. So kangaroo is Australian, obviously, and is the healer of the West and always goes forward and has no ability to turn around. Now, the teachings of the drum that we'll be working with are that of the bonnet drum. This is the ancient way of pulling a hide over, and this was found originally in Europe. The bonnet drum teachings are still utilized in Siberia, Mongolia, and different aspects of Eastern Europe. And in Europe, your drum is considered your horse, your avatar that you ride into the other world. So the animal gives its life so that it can have voice and different form of body. The tree gives its life so it can have voice and different form of experience of body. And then thus your drum is treated like a living being. You drop your drum, you offer tobacco and sing to it, you apologize. When I go to begin to work with the drum, I always rub the face, say hello to the drum, and ask the drum if it's willing to work with me here today. This drum in particular has got from China, a cowrie shell. And then in the spacing in the back, it does have the Bohra and the Manoise runes, as well as it had invocations to Lolita Triputa Sundari. So she's the three consciousness goddess. Then on the front, you'll see the Om, which is a blind amphibian that lives in caves in Texas, and that's it. And it's the closest relative to the axolotl, which lives in Mexico and Guatemala. But this one is found only in Texas, and it is this blind salamander white guy who lives in these caves, in these cenotes in Texas. So when I made this drum, this was the last of Enjoy Drum Journey's workshops in Australia before I left Australia. I did 4, I don't know. Sharna and I did a number of Drum Journey workshops of making your drums, and then I continued to do a variety without. This is the very first drum that was made in the Enjoy Drum Journeys, and this was Sharna's drum. Then by Teachings of Turtle Island, you are to gift your first drum. So Sharna gifted me her first kangaroo hide drum. So this is my male, and I use this drum and used that drum for years with Sharna. And then just before I left Australia, this was the last hide that I had sold to someone else, and it had sat on their altar for a year with more Buddhist prayers and things, and then they decided that they were vegan and that they couldn't handle having an animal hide drum, and I purchased it back from them thinking it would go to someone else, and then realized I needed to actually have my mother drum with me. When I made this drum, I always, with all drums, there is a soul of the mallet and there is a soul of the drum. I was taught drum making techniques from Sonora Eddles, who passed. She was of Thunderwolf Lodge, and she was mixed ancestry of European as well as indigenous to North America here. And so the teachings of how to make the drum came primarily from her over the years, but then also different indigenous people of Turtle Island, Bradley Dick, who's Lekwungen, whose teachings came from Janet Rogers, who's Iroquois. So the Om itself, though, I went to journey with Patricia Silverwolf, another shamanic practitioner of Australia, who does particularly women's business and Kundalini activation dances, but she also does drum journeys in a Brazilian style. So I went to one of her workshops, and during that I had a giant woolly mammoth kind of rhino guy, woolly rhino, come up, and I was like, oh, are you the spirit of my drum? Like, it's because my intention was to like go get the spirit of my drum and the mallet. And this beast was like, nah, I'm not the drum, but I'm here to help you get the spirit of the drum. So it's like, all right. So this giant, like, big, beautiful woolly rhino comes over and he digs his horn underneath a mountain and he lifts it up. And underneath it was the Om, and was this little guy there. So a little blind amphibian salamander. So this is my more of a mother drum, more of a grandmother drum, and more of a feminine energy to this one. And on and off, we'll be journeying on different drums depending on which one calls to be the one. When we journey, there's a couple different beats you'll hear. So there's the just a heartbeat. This just makes sure that our heart literally stays beating. Because as we out of body journey, how far you go, where you go, sometimes the body can get cold and the heart rate can slow and can sometimes stop altogether. So the drum beat, which is just a basic heartbeat, is literally to keep your heart going and to make sure that your body stays awake and tethered to this world here. Then you will hear different points where we journey swiftly. These are about 180 beats per minute, is like the technicals of like blah 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 for a theta wave, so on and so forth, for a hypnotic trance state. In course meetings, they break it all down into the science of it. I was taught that we just swiftly go. You don't worry so much at the times that we're going swift. You go quickly and you don't worry about seeing what's around you. This is often because we are traveling somewhere that may or may not be hostile. So we move quickly, we go in. When we land places, you'll hear. This is to drop you into a space, a realm, a platform, or a section. When you hear that, that's when you'll start to allow yourself to fully visualize, allow it. Some people can go and see the vision as they run through, go really swiftly. If you're more like me, it'll be pretty dark, and then you get little slips and senses of knowing and things like that until you actually land. Then when we're in a space, we'll go back to the heartbeat, and we'll just explore, just breathing in gently. There'll be different prompts, just allowing yourself to see and receive the knowing, the sense, the visions, whatever it is that it is for the directive in that space at that time. Now, the other thing we want to know is come back the way you came. This is a vital piece of journeying stuff that they always come back the way you came, come back the way you came, come back the way you came. My general understanding of that is that we can actually get fairly discombobulated in the other world, and we can leave ourselves in spaces. So if we go one way and we go to a specific spot, come back, and then we stop at those stops on the way back, if we lost anything or forgot anything, we can get it on our way back. So I always find, because we go in and maybe it's a little fast and we don't really fully see what we're receiving, or we don't have time to really feel the space before the journey's moving along, know that when we come back the way we came, then you can complete whatever it was that was needed there, leave something, pick up something, and come back the way you came. When we journey in this process, there's many ways to pathwork a tree of life. So most commonly you see the Kabbalist and Hermetic tree of life like observations, but the world over, all cultures had their own different translations of pathworking a tree of life. So Hermetic ways, they say that there's the lightning bolt, which is for knowledge, and you come through the tree realms in a zigzag pattern, and that's for a download of like inspiration and wisdom. Or you take the serpent's path and you slide up through the realms to receive healing. Now, in the journey of the bard process, we approach it, and the way I was taught was to approach the tree as if it was a figure 8. And you always come in through the heart, and then you spiral down into the base, and then come back the way you came, and you spiral back out. Then you spiral up into the upper world, and then you spiral back down. So the journey of the bard process does a path working that is to downward spiral and then up into a figure 8, which is what we explored today in the art therapy, and is the sense of balance. This is one of the ways that we try to path work so we don't have psychosis. I find if you go straight from the lowers and then up, it has a lot of very primal, grunty periods of time that can be just more animalistic than
irritating.
Necessary. Yeah, it's like it's much more like than I think is needed. So this is where I have been trained, and I appreciate the practices of always going through the heart, so that then all work that's conducted comes from the center of what is heart focused for the person. So when we go in, we'll go in, we're just going to breathe in. You might open your chest like a door. You might just crawl down your throat, however you see getting into your heart. Then when you're in your heart might look like a meadow, it might look like a cabin, it might look like a physical, juicy, squishy, bloody muscle. Some people are very literal and practical. But we encourage you to let your metaphors get a little wild and explore what the chambers of your hearts visually look like, what they desire to be like, what they want. And in the other world, we are the drivers. So whatever we desire is instantly there. Whatever we need, we do not fear anything, because if we come across something that is scary, we just imagine a big old spear stabbing it. See me coming in and smashing it with a mallet, see purple fire, see the dragons coming in, and know that you can have anything you want, that nothing has control over you in the other world. You are the driver of your internal created reality. So if at any point you're fearful, just breathe in. You don't know what to do, just call me in, see me coming over, and see the guides just attending to it. Because we are the driver's seat. This is why interdimensional activity wants in our body, is because we actually drive this 3D world. So when we go into the other worlds, whatever we need, you just imagine it, you request it, you breathe in, and then you see it as it responds to your requests. So when we're journeying, it's a little bit of, yes, just allowing it to be what it wants to be, but also that it's a call and response process, where when the invitation comes, we breathe in and we say, actually, I want to use a dragon and purple fire to purify this landscape, and then I want it to turn into a beautiful field of flowers. And so you intend that, you breathe in, and then you see it. And you see the dragons crawling out, bringing out the purple fire, the landscape being cleansed, moving into little light sparkles, it shifts away, and then you watch the tree growing and the flowers blooming. So it's a mix of controlling the imagination and allowing the imagination. And it's this kind of how we haze our eyes out to look at something. And we're staring at something, yes, but we can fuzzy it a little bit around the edges over and over. And it's finding this nice little in-between space of the control with the visions and with the spaces that is our true power. And this comes in with our will. So knowing that there's nothing that we will come across that can't be attended to, and that if there's anything that is uncomfortable, just call me in and visualize me coming in and seeing the guides responding to it. Then we'll come back to the heart. We always come back to the heart. We always close the door. We don't want to leave doors open, because when we journey to the other world and underworld, things like this, if you leave a door open, then it's privy to other people coming through it. So whenever we open doors, we always close doors. You can choose to lock them or not. Some people get really protective-y and feel the need to have locks. But if you have locks, remember where you put your key, and put your key somewhere. Really keep that in essence of yourself, right? But also when we invoke in protection like that, we also invite in a need to protect. So if we manifest that we need a key for our door, now we have a key for someone to steal. So this is the awareness of what do we expect from reality, and where are we asking for our key to be stolen when we just say that we need a key. When we can just say, I actually don't need a key, nothing will cross here that does not have the most compassionate action for me intended and involved, and we can just put the energetics of that. So, but yeah, we'll close the door, then we'll come back up through our heart, and we'll have a share as well at that point. If we have time, we might visit a well, but before we have our little break and drop into our session, we've got two things we need. We need our name. So we're going to look for our name. We're going to do a heart clearing. We're going to ask for color, sound, name, something to come to us that will assist us and be an aspect for this year and a day. And then what we will do is let's align and accelerate some of our best goals at the beginning of this, and we'll just keep it in that zone. So we'll establish what our tree looks like. We'll check in on our heart. We'll do a quick little tidy up of the heart. And then we'll head on down and gather a couple of items just to experience what it's like to do an otherworldly drum journey and align and accelerate our best goals. And then when we come on back out, we will see what time we're at. And if we have a chance, we'll check in and maybe do a well process. But otherwise, we'll leave it at that. So before we go, though, is there anything in specific that you would like to learn in this year and a day? 1 to 3 things of everything that you know is maybe possible or maybe isn't possible. But what are your 1 to 3 things you'd love to learn in this year and a day?
I would really like to do some type of like womb and sacral clearing. I would really like to learn more about that to help with healing of menstrual and whatever is in those. There's so much grief right now in the world too. Just seems like a calling of mine. I could explain more, but point form.
Yeah, beautiful. That's perfect. Because, yeah. Okay, thank you, thank you. Maggie's moving, so maybe not.
All right, sorry. I was trying to figure out how to do it. What I'd like to learn Zoom through this process. No, I'm just kidding. I would like to learn more about like listening to my intuition and actually being able to tell like my intuition versus my fear voice. It's like, don't do that. No, that's scary. Don't do that. Versus actually informed, don't do that. Like that's a lot of what I struggled with the previous container, as you call it. Like, oh, it's not my intuition, it's just my fear talking. But then it turned out to be my intuition. But I can never tell. So I find it hard to trust it because I don't know if it's just me second guessing myself. And since I'm trying to stop that behavior, it's like,
or if you need to actually exit. Yeah, totally.
Yes, yeah.
For more discernment and stronger connection to the trust of intuitive awarenesses. So
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Maggie.
Hello. The thing that comes to me right now, the only thing on my mind right now is like learning to manifest like safely with like set the intentions and like have a clear idea and then just like bring it about. Like to be able to like, okay, this is a need. All right, this thing, and it's for this, and this is why, right? And now this thing, and so to just be able to trust, like, okay, things are taken care of. I can do, and I'm able to just do the stuff that I'm meant to do. Just bring that about.
Cool. All right, so very specific. What are manifestation techniques, and how do we settle into a trust flow? So
Yeah.
An ease and a sense of faith, and it's really, really tricky when you're working with the light because one part of the light and like love and light is that it likes to make you poop your pants and prove that
Yeah.
you like, can you sweat for a minute and trust that we got you?
Yeah, I've had a lot of
And
that.
it's like, you fall. And it's like, I swear I trust, I swear I trust, I swear. And then all of a sudden it's like, la, rainbows and cushions. But if you're at any moment, you're like, you don't have me. They're like, oh, we're just going to let you fall for an extra minute then.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that all sounds very familiar.
Yeah, so it's as much as it's, but I totally get what you mean because I have gained a sense of physical sense of faith.
Yeah.
And when I'm in a really uncomfortable, I can't see anything. I don't know how I'm going to make, I have 79 cents in my bank account. What the heck's going to happen? But I have this ability now where it's just this feeling where when I touch in, it's right there. And then I know because I can feel it that it's coming and that it's going, that it's like, my something is going to happen. So there is a physical sensation that you can come to feel in the invisible that then gives this sense of faith even in a stark fall moment.
I definitely feel like tuned into that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like we're just in such a time of just so much uncertainty and like it's going to continue. There's so much change happening, and
We
to
got
like
3
be able
years.
to like bring about that like feeling of like no, there's a wall behind me. It's got me. Just keep walking forward, and it'll follow and continue to like support, and like just bring as many people into that as possible. Like no, we've got this. Just keep doing what we're doing, and it'll show up. The energy will show up. Something like that is
Beautiful.
that's where I'm at right now. That's like the internal process I'm going through at the moment.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. And then Sharna, you've done 2 trees, and now this is your third time through the tree. What do you have a particular focus or a desire, or you just what are you tossing into the pot today?
I feel that I'm going higher than last time. It's kind of like, so I was listening to everyone, and the abundance comes through a lot, and prosperity. I think it's more prosperity on a psychological, structural level, because I don't know how to feel that. Learning to feel that. And I've already done a 6-week container in that. So I feel it's prosperity, and I feel that it's something it's like the sky is a mirror. So the clouds and, the blue and the stars, but the planets are the body. Oh, that makes my heart heavy. So there's a disconnect. So I want to explore my prosperity through the realms. And it feels like there's a lot of justice involved, and IOUs and archons and I don't know, things that I've never explored before. So, and I feel like it's our session gnomes. You know how you did it? You know how you felt the edges, but there was more space? It's that. It's whatever that looked like. That's what's coming through for me this time around.
So are you intending to expand on the edges of where you believe your softness ends, and instead pushing yourself
out? Yeah. But going out, you're going in, because it's prosperity. It's an incension, not an ascension.
Incension. Okay. Incension. That's our word. Incension. All right. So what Sharna's referencing is that at one point in the process, I was figurating in and out of this aspect with a soft medium, which is the soft emotions. But then I was coming in with hard, sharp lines at first in the soft emotion medium. And then it moved its way into like a figurating balance that then had to find its way into a fixed medium to then soften into its form. But during the soften things, I thought I was hitting the edge of the paper.
She was actually physically hitting her edge.
Aspect, and like thought I was hitting every part of the paper while doing the softness exercise. And then when I opened my eyes and look, I've got like 4 inches to the top of the paper. But when I was doing it, it felt like I was hitting the edge of the paper. And then we were looking at it after, and we're like, whoa, like psychologically, I have these hard, stark boundaries of where my softness goes and how far out I extend my softness. And when I had my eyes closed, even though I thought I was covering the whole page and hitting the edges, I actually wasn't even hitting the borders. And I was actually stuck more in the middle of this page. And so what Sharna's saying that she desired to expand on is that where we believe we have gone as far as our boundaries are allowed to be, but our mental has hampered us, and we're feeling the invisible boundaries on our softness. And then how do we then soften to expand, to actually take up the space that we have that's allowed to be that soft? Because I was actually restricting, and I could feel the restrictions of how big I allow my softness to be, how much space I allow myself to be soft in. And so this is what Sharna's grappling with in this moment, at least in my comprehension of it, is that it's how do I realize that the rest of the page is there, and that my softness is allowed to have that much space. It can take up space, and it's welcome to go beyond. And so how do we deconstruct the mental belief that the edges are there? And we're hitting just these mental edges. And how do we see really how much space there is and expand?
And it's psychological, but that allows for the water. Like there's like this whole new coated water thing that comes in then, because then it's how does the body hold that new level of potency for the first time in probably our evolution now. You know, it's like it's really irritating because it's like it comes with so much more grief of contracts. And I feel like there's going to be a lot more work one-on-one with you too around this, Naomi. Like,
yeah, I was going to say there's definitely something a little bit more.
yeah, it's like it's my story. I don't want scripts. I don't want old IOUs. I want to be aware of them, but I don't want to write new scripts with them either. I don't want to resurrect them. I want to just live my authentic truth. That's an expansion.
Dissolve.
And have my own matrix accept that without throwing me all these other curveballs and fucking
matrix
debts. They'd be like debts.
Accept. No more debts. No more
No
pain.
more debts.
Okay. All right. So everybody, we're gonna take a 2 to 5 minute break. So go pee. Tune in with your crystals. If there's any hides, objects, even a spoon or a weird blue cup, don't ignore that. Just trust it. Bring it into your space and set yourself a little general altar space. We're going to be laying down, going through a relaxation process, and visualizing and journeying. So eye pillows might help with the ability of visualizing. And just take these moments here to do what you need to do to set yourself for 20 minutes to 40 minutes of a journey. Ba, 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 ba.